Further to that one, what we are working on is we are giving psychologists, they can see at that moment of that fear, that moment, what is happening in your brain. So live images of real activity of the brain, which side the brain is working, so that could be a very precise thing. Our, we are patent pending, our application is patent pending. This is our management team, and this is our startup, our psychologist. Very impressive team, and we have over 8 people. Every scenario has huge research behind them. €5 would be the minimum to start with per session, and our target market is 3,300 alone psychologists who are using phobia treatment but not using VR alone in Ireland and UK. This is a bit of competition in the market. Yes, there are other softwares, but we come out better. You can see on the right side, and that's us. So waiting for the questions. Thank you.
Well, excellent pitch. It's always tough to start off as the first one. I mean, so we're in this era of global science, and we're finally seeing the promise of AR and VR come through a little bit. But the biggest question is the market in health tech right now is enormous. But how are you actually creating the first onboarding? So, I mean, how are you going to reach out to the first customers and consumers and make sure that it also creates some revenue?
We have, as I said, we have done our clinical trials that has proven, yes, it does work. And we are in talks with 3 different clinics in Vienna, in Bosnia, and in Pristina, that they are looking to take a subscription on this one and start, we will start generating money on that.
Right, and these are also paid clinical trials as well?
Yes, yes, patent application is in process. Yeah.
Great technology, very interesting. Now I know I can use it before I'm going to an airplane or something. Very good.
No subscription to you, free.
So what is your business model?
It's B2B, psychology, clinics, hospitals, and government departments. We will work with them, and they will be treating their patients. We will not, it's not end-to-end user. In the future, what we have is we will provide an app for homework for patients. So they will be given by the doctors and psychologists, take home, work on it, and all the biometrics and biological and their level will be recorded. So when they come back, the work is done, they would know that if they have made a progress.
And essentially, are you building an end-to-end solution, or you're just tackling part of the problem? And if so, what is your actual core technology? So what are you
Core
building
technology would be virtual reality, and we are working where the body will have a sensation. We are working on a hardware as well. That's what we are patenting on.
You're working on hardware?
Yes, I mean, there would be a physical thing. I can't give much in public because it's at the minute patent pending. There would be a physical thing which will make this thing crawl on your body, and that will give you a real sensation. So
like a bodysuit, or?
It's not a bodysuit. It'll be along those lines, yes. It'll be something along those lines.
And it's proprietary?
Patent pending.
Okay.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I mean, this is always a tough question, but if you just say project in the next 12 to 18 months, where do you see yourself at?
And next, I would say I'll give you 3 years. What we are working on is our business model based on this €5 per session charging, and every psychologist, on average, they are doing about 15 sessions per week, 3 a day. It's not a big ask. Based on that one, they'll be generating 3,900 per year, one license. And if you go only for 12 licenses per month, based on that 144 per year, that will be generating over 3 years period, 1.9 million profit.
Great answer.
Thank you.
So how much customization is needed for each individual treatment here?
Equipment is obviously, there would be different goggles. You can buy them even in the market. And we have not put a final figure. We are working on the finals, but we know the margin we want to keep on a very nominal on the hardware, what we will be selling. There will be only €250 a margin. So even though if the product is 5,000 or 2,000 or 1,000, and we would also help clinics to get it lease rental, so they can have it over 3 years period. They don't have to buy it out if they don't want to, or if their cash flow is not good. So based on that small margin, based on these numbers, the profitability is there. I think that answers your question.
And you just showed us, I mean, you're targeting quite niche market right now. So
Yes.
you mentioned 3,300 or more or less potential client and prospects. So do you see?
That's only Ireland and UK, but our reach is global. We are not going to just stop Ireland and UK. So our reach is global, all the countries.
What will be your vision for the market? If you, what's the bigger vision around it? Let's say you manage to reach a little bit more traction on the ground as well in this particular sector. What will be your bigger goal? You see any multi-purpose angles for this as well?
Yes, we are looking at also, as I said, we have a very strong psychological team. We are doing a research on mental disorders like of dementia and different aspects, right? And then also we are looking into a hospitality sector. So there would be a product we are working on, that would be hospitality sector if somebody wants to dive into a deep waters, right? And they would feel it while they are just swimming in a swimming pool. So they would have corals, and because of this contraction, they would see even dolphins are touching them. They are in the real water. And what it will do is our product, which will be looking at the brain activity and all the triggering that contraction, would be within the water with them. So that's another market we are looking at, not only the medical.
Can you talk a little bit about the, so I'm guessing this sensory technology is crucial for your USP.
Yes.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Our software will control this piece of equipment. So that's not going to be that there not a lot of cable. There would be hidden cable. There would be just put on one size fit everybody. So not everybody has to have a different equipment on them, right? So when they would have it like their body, their shoulder, their back, their arms, different things, wherever that snake or snail or spider is walking in the picture.
Yeah, but how does the technology work itself? So do you have like a grid which, I don't know, polarizes at certain points to create pressure, or how?
There would
Water-
be from the family of electrodes contracting that creation. So electrodes and some sensors.
So last question is Pristina and Mostar, why?
Sorry?
Why do you do pilots there?
Where in Mostar?
Why
Okay,
do you pilots
Pristina, okay.
in Kosovo and Bosnia, and you're based in Dublin?
This was a product originally from Bosnia.
Is that from Spark? Mostar?
Spark was part of it, but they came out, they graduated from Spark. Then after that,
So you bought the solution from them, or?
I bought this. I took the team with me. So I have the team, so they are part of me as well, and we have moved there. Because they were just, didn't happen any improvement. I saw the opportunity, and we are taking it to the further level. That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I am not a big fan of spiders. When I saw that slide alone, I was already kind of starting to eke out. Definitely feel like if I had little buzzers on me that would tell me a spider's crawling, I would be flipping out pretty fast. But it's cool to see that there's actual opportunity to fix that in me, maybe. With that, we're going to introduce our second startup, Enlightaid. Give them a hand.
My name is Veronica, and I'm the founder and CEO of Enlightaid. Today, at a global level, 30% of what we donate is lost to corruption. Even though there is no aggregated statistics for aid, only 6 countries contribute almost $600 billion a year. Enlightaid is transparency technology created to capture and report back on donations and allowing you to find that 30% back. We started by building the first crowdfunding platform that is fully transparent. It looks like a normal crowdfunding where organizations just publish their projects and they raise funds for a specific goal, like the World Wildlife Fund in this case. And I'm logging in here to show you how it works from the perspective of the donor. As a donor, this person donated to a project called Neon More. On his profile, he can see that his $10 were spent on wages in this particular project. This is a summarized version, of course, but you can go into the details of this payment, and you can also go into the details of each individual payment this project made. So you just go back into their live project page, and you can click on their transparency tab and check every payment, like their electricity bill, for example. You can go into the details of that particular payment, know who was in charge, and you can even go and see the receipt of that transaction. Now we're taking it further by creating Enlightaid version 2, which incorporates corporations to the system to create the CSR of the 21st century. And we're also enabling ongoing payments for NGOs so they can fund their ongoing operations. Companies through the system can monitor transparently their CSR portfolio. They can involve their employees in the decision making. They can communicate to the community, and they can even ask for tax deduction documentations with ease. I'll log in here as Awesome Company. They have their own profile on their system, and they're looking to support another NGO as part of their CSR. So they can just go into the database and check, for example, Great Foundation. And Great Foundation has some information already logged there, and they can even click and see all their payments and all of their financial information before they make a decision to support them. They can choose to create a monthly donation of their choice, and then that information is registered directly on their profile, and you can go and access each individual payment that the NGOs are doing. We're incorporating blockchain and AI to create Enlighted version 2. And our aim is to create the biggest, broadest, global, immutable database of projects, which you can use to compare one project to the other. And that way, we can flag irregularities before they can happen and ending corruption. Right now, we just need to win Shift and conquer the world. Thank you.
Thank
So
you very
how-
much.
Sorry, go ahead. How do you make money?
We take a percentage of the amount that the organization raises.
What percentage?
We take 5% currently, and we're looking for version 2 and to establishing a licensing system so they can either use the web-based solution or larger organizations can have a white labeled solution that they own completely.
Very interesting solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what is your current traction?
We're still very small. We have live only version 1. We have 12 clients in 7 different countries. The clients, I mean social organizations. And we have about 200 individual donors and about 3,000 people on our current network.
Excellent presentation, very well done. I mean, the biggest question from my side, you mentioned there's like 30% of every donation that might get stuck. I think sometimes it's even 60 or 70%, which is of course just a horrible way to actually fund beneficial project. But the most important challenge here, I think, is how do you actually attract and retain the right projects on one side, and then on the supply side, how do you actually make sure that you get the right backers and create the growth and scale that you really want?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, so on one side you have the project side where you need to onboard the right projects. Then you know you have to make sure that transparency is there. So that's one question. So maybe how do you actually control transparency in the chain to make sure these are good projects?
So the system records and reports back, like publishes the transactions that are happening, that are done by the organization. So the organization, once they create the project, they agree to do all the payments with the money that they raised through our system, through this system. So it gets automatically published, and we verify that the payments are actually, they make sense to what they're supposed to be doing. And we, like the last kind of puzzle of how it's currently working is that we have them add all of the receipts once the payments are done. Because in many cases, we're working with organizations that are very small and that don't have money to make like payments in advance and then you can get a refund. They have to get the money, pay, and then add the receipt. So that's how it's working today. And the other question was?
Well, so I mean, working on a platform like this, there's always a supply and the demand side. The easy side is the demand side, because every project will want to onboard, get potential more backers on board.
Yes.
How are you going to make sure that you actually generate the traction for these projects? So how will you get the backers on board?
Well, especially for version 2, we're enabling a lot of features that don't really imply donations, such as like for a company involving your whole team. You don't really need to spend money in a project to involve your team, like to know, for example, that for your company it's important that you do environmental projects or it's important that you do women and children's projects, for example. So we are generating, or we're looking to generate traction first through non-funded or non-money sort of data transaction. And that will be sort of the teaser for then that company or the individual donors to choose to donate directly through the system since all the information is there already.
So let's talk about transparency, because that's the key point of your, how do you ensure that I don't, or someone within the organization doesn't provide a faulty invoice or embezzles the money in some way? You mentioned 2 magic words. I was waiting for that to happen, blockchain, AI. So maybe Let's talk about this a little bit.
Well, imagine that we have through the system a record of 50 schools, for example, that were built in Nicaragua, just to choose whichever country. And for school number 51 in Nicaragua, we will have already a profile of transactions that will be recorded on the blockchain, of course. It will be immutable, decentralized.
Based on some tokens, right?
We're still studying it. Actually, we use blockchain as a word because everybody understands it. We're still comparing between blockchain and IOTA because they have a lot of limitations.
So you haven't started the implementation yet, right?
On blockchain, not yet. But let's go back to the profile. So if we have school number 51, and you have a deviation of the profile of that kind of project in that kind of location, then the AI of our system will stop that transaction before it can happen.
Okay, what I'm talking about is, let's say you have a school in the Balkans, let's say Bosnia, and we have 50 years of experience in frauding these kind of systems on a human level.
I come from Chile. We have a lot of experience as well.
What I'm actually figuring out, people know exactly, how to cheat automated systems. AI is a very dumb way to, I don't know, if it goes beyond something that is normal, it will trigger it. But people know how to, go.
Yes, I understand your point completely. For example, like right now we're only recording transaction data. But if I were to implement a vaccine program, I can tell you today that the NGO in the Balkans bought the vaccines. But what happens when they walk out of their doors and they just decide to sell the vaccines after they bought it? Like the buying the vaccine was transparent. There was no corruption there. But then they used them for something else, right? So what we're using, we're working with a company in Silicon Valley that does geolocation in real time. So we can add like a code to each individual product, tag it in a place. The official of the NGO on the ground will do the path to the hospital, for example, where those vaccines are going, tag it again, and then we have an added control system. But it will, like, at some point, it will be cheated. We know that for a fact, and we just have to evolve as fast as we can to track like where those holes are. Like we saw the geolocation.
Provide a data set for the
Yes.
So I think you can add some kind of KYC capability in order to onboard those projects that eventually will allow you to identify those threats.
You don't know
Yes.
Balkans.
Well, I'm Latin American. We have a lot of experience in corruption. Sadly, but true.
Thank you very much.
Cool, there it is. Blockchain for philanthropy, always interesting to see. The next one that we're going to be inviting up is Fractal Labs. Give them a hand.
My name is John White. We are Fractal, and we believe that SME banking is broken. Why? Most European banks define SMEs as a segment, so they lumber businesses with 25 million turnover and 2 million turnover into the same area, assuming that they have identical needs and desires. So it's no surprise that the majority of SMEs feel that their banking services aren't tailored to their needs and that they feel that they're underserved and undervalued. The SME funding gap across Europe proves this with actual real numbers. Some countries have got up to 20 billion, but even up to hundreds of billions of funding that SMEs are missing in order to fuel their next stage of growth. Most businesses, though, to be fair to the banks, are invisible to them. Commercial banks make 85% of their revenues from just 25% of their commercial customers. So if you believe in the 80-20 rule, that probably makes a lot of sense. The other 75% is left untapped due to a lack of data intelligence and actually understanding SMEs' needs. At Fractal, we want to shift this 80-20 thinking and open up that funding for those other 75% of SMEs. We also believe that we live in a different era. For hundreds of years now, relationship managers have managed the relationship between a bank and their SMEs, but new technologies have emerged that have actually driven recommendations and personalized moments. And at Fractal, we've been busy building the next product to buy engine. The next product to buy engine is something that we all expect. All of these points that you see here, you actually expect it from most of your businesses nowadays, and you actually quite like it when a business knows you and understands you, and then will be able to recommend something that's personalized to you and tailored to your needs. So we believe, you may have heard the phrase that data is gold. We actually believe that it's intelligence that is gold. In the old world, you had static identity with paper-based and disparate systems with different data on it. We now live in a really dynamic future where we have multiple data sources across purchasing, products, etc., and we've built Fractal on top of this. So while banks are building innovative propositions, they're generally standalone solutions. They're normally point-to-point. They'll grab a data source from the bottom and build a new customer proposition on top. What Fractal brings is a new data intelligence API where we can categorize, analyze, credit score, alert, and forecast around cash flow for SMEs. We integrate this and aggregate all of that data that you see on the bottom right corner in the core bank of a bank. So Fractal empowers banks to create entirely new personalized products for their SME customers. In the UK at the moment, there's an average of 144 days life cycle for a bank to lend to an SME. Sometimes 30 days to define a new deposit strategy if they've got a surplus of cash flow. They only have a historical view of payments, and it's a manual application for insurance even when they've been banking with their own bank. At Fractal, we want to turn that into instant decisioning, automated multi-product savings, anticipate payments and personalize the FX, and then be able to do predictive pricing and flexible cover for SMEs. The next product to buy engines, McKinsey have been doing a lot of research on this over the last few months. They've been building small little prototypes and testing it. The results are dramatic. Our customers say the same. And this is our team. We're regulated by the FCA, authorized for open banking, and authorized payment institution. The automation economy is here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Obviously, SME is a growing market, and there is a huge potential in this area. There is a lot of competition in this. What is your main value proposition in terms of what we're doing?
I think we've been debating this a lot internally at Fractal around whether to launch our own SME bank or to actually support the banks themselves. And if you look at the stats, one of our partners, Deloitte, shared with us that about 90% of global SMEs are actually banked with a bank. So we felt our strategy that's unique is that actually we want to support the core banking infrastructure, not just create another standalone solution that sits outside of the bank and actually sort of cannibalizes their own customers. So that's our unique sort of positioning.
So basically, you are white labeling your solution for banks?
Well, currently we do have a white label solution, but we are busy beavering away finishing our API, which will be ready at the end of this year, so then that the banks can then deliver the experience in their own front end as they wish.
Thank you.
I mean, great presentation. You managed to squeeze a lot in there.
Thank you.
3 minutes. But I mean, essentially, I mean, I always like to think there's SME, there's banking products for people like in this room with great terms, and there's people outside of this room that get shitty terms. And but the question is, how are you solving that? So you mentioned a little bit about the data layers that you're building on top. Could you define a little bit more what actually concretely are you building? What kind of insights are we talking about?
So, no, excellent question, thank you. So all of those data sources that you saw in the bottom right corner, whether that be the bank's data, open banking data, PSD2, accounting packages, what we do is aggregate all of that data sources and then start categorizing it. One challenge that banks have had in the past is a lot of SMEs will be multi-banked. So what we're offering them is a holistic view of that SME. The categorization is a big issue as well. Whilst banks have had this data for many years, they really struggle to understand their own data. So just in that simple layer we found in those initial engagements, that's just been the first step of the process. But then it really gets, the richness comes in the forecasting engine. So what we are doing is putting machine learning intelligence into the product to be able to forecast projections of cash flow, because then what we're able to do is say, hey, it looks like you're having a bumper year. Potentially there's some deposits products for you. Or look, you've got in the next 3 months, it looks like you've just taken on board a new customer and a new contract. Did you know your working capital finance is going to slip? You need some interim financing from the bank, and we're hoping that we reach a point where we can just click, click, yes, give me the money.
I mean, I really like the fact you're not trying to disrupt the market, but work together with the incumbents. But there's, of course, also the infrastructure layer partners within banking. You know, companies like, for example, from my country, the Netherlands, like Adyen. How do you see yourself working with them? Because they're actually essentially trying to do the same thing, and they have the payment information already.
Yeah, so, I mean, you might have seen, I ran out of time, but Deloitte is a global distribution partner of ours. We have actually partnered with many of the consultancies, Accentures, et cetera, of this world who have introduced us to their partner banks. I think we view it as a collaborative effort, really. I think there is, whilst I know I might offend some of the fintech startups in here, I think the future will be a blend of banks and fintechs. And I think we want to empower that. Our ultimate goal really is to empower SMEs at the front end. It's not just about the relationships that get in the way.
And then, so if you look at maybe a little bit of your background, so how's the company funded right now? And
Currently, we are in that sort of middle ground of seed and Series A. We have Morgan Stanley, eBay, Seed Camp in the UK as investors. We're sort of at this moment in time actually just really focusing on growing the product team. And also, as you'd imagine, with the integration challenges you sometimes face with a bank, they'll come to you and say, yes, that's all well and good that you've got a beautiful RESTful API, but can you play nicely with my Oracle databases and web series front end? So we're building out the whole integration team with Deloitte at this moment in time.
And how you're steering the company? What's your major proof points that you're looking at? Let's say in terms of traction next.
Excellent question. So it's really around at the moment driving proof of concepts where we can actually get an understanding of where that bank sits. So, for example, we're working with a handful of businesses across Europe, banks across Europe at the moment. We go in, we identify what type of SMEs do you have on your books, and what's the ideal proof of concept that we can use leveraging the Fractal technology to deliver an optimized experience for you. The more that those proof points and metrics that we can build, we should hopefully reach a point where one day we can say, you can implement Fractal and you should see a product uplift of X, a customer experience metrics increase of Y, and then also a cost saving ultimately on your technology architecture. Thank you.
Okay, short question is, coming back to your discussion, why not launch a bank of your own as opposed to collaborating, besides the obvious infrastructure problem? Why not take this route?
Primarily because of where these SMEs are banked at the moment. So, as I mentioned, 90% of global SMEs we found in our research are banked with a top 5 bank within their country. We are targeting very specifically innovation-driven economies, so economies that have a good infrastructure, have smartphone penetration, who are open to new market innovations. And we actually feel that there's a lot of the banks that we're working with are actually using Fractal technology to initially launch their own standalone version, to test our proposition, and then potentially integrate it into the core bank. I think we see it as that they have got the scale, they've got the marketing power, they have got the direct access to those customers, and if we can improve it on that basis, that's why we've gone that route.
Time will tell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought our last pitch for this session is going to be Kasia. Give him a hand.
Hello, everyone. This is Janina from Kasia. We are a financial services provider for the banked and unbanked. And in the unbanked today, we don't only include the traditional ones, but also our own crypto community. Because traditional banks are not making the necessary distinction between who is compliant and who is not, but they are declining everyone right away, or they are canceling existing accounts. So we are providing the accounts for businesses and individuals. We are also providing the compliance API, so if you are an ICO or a STO, you can onboard your users with us. We are providing also other tools that make the whole process more smooth, such as for accounting, auditing, instant conversion between crypto and fiat all in one place. Because we believe that it is the future, it is here to stay. Some of the companies are doing the most exciting things in the world, but they are struggling with basic problems like not having a bank account. So if you are an entrepreneur, crypto trader, is existing, pre or post token sales startup or established company, you can come to us. This is a sneak peek we're going to launch on 28th November. So we are going to provide the IBAN accounts with the crypto capabilities, starting with Bitcoin, Ether, our own CAS token, and adding more features in the future. So at the beginning, we have the 5 packages for individuals and businesses based on their needs, like the location, the expected size, etc. So a bit about us. We were founded in 2016. We have a team of 22 experts from some of the leading banks. We are based in London in level 39. and we are partnered with the FCA-regulated EMI that is going to provide the IBAN account. So if you are going to do an ICO, or if you're having to do with them, or any other company in the space like an exchange, then we can see how we can work together. I see there are many companies doing like the marketing, technology, or legal part for the ICOs, but no one's providing the accounts, and that's where we are coming in. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was fast. So where are you incorporated? What's your jurisdiction?
So we are based in London, in the UK.
And the company, the bank, is based there, right?
Yes, so it will be IBANs also from the UK.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, you are going to provide for an ICO bank account that it's not going to get banned because...
So it's, we don't call it bank account, it's current account. But
Okay.
it provides the same features as if it was from a bank.
In what way?
So you can send and receive money like pound, euro, dollars, all in one place. And you get additionally all the crypto features. So you can also send and receive and deposit all the crypto, and you can convert between the two.
So I'm going to be able to send from IBAN to IBAN,
Yes.
plus from wallet to a wallet.
Yes, so you get all the features like a SEPA payment, faster payment, international transfers, etc.
And the regulations in UK allow these kind of things.
Yes, UK.
I mean, one of the things that triggered me when you mentioned banking your own bank, that has a special place in my heart. I like that type of mission, but I don't essentially see it in this perspective.
No.
This just looks for a regular group of audience that actually have some crypto and also want to get, or ICOs that actually have trouble getting an IBAN. So what's the connection with the unbanked?
So it's both. So if you are an individual, you can also get the account. So if you are an individual anywhere in the world, or a business, small business anywhere in the world, maybe not having access to a traditional bank account, you can also come to us. But because banks are also excluding all the businesses and individuals that have to do in some way with the cryptocurrency, we are saying these are actually also a part of the unbanked. So we are also including them.
Okay, well, that maybe just sort of like a semantic discussion then. But on the other side, so one of the things that always kind of like scares me a little bit from an investor perspective, you have a great vision, absolute wonderful mission, but there's a lot of steps to be made in terms of working together with incumbents, establishing technology. So if you would have to break it down, clear and concise, what will be the first thing that you do after you launch on November 28th?
So on November 28th, we are launching the whole crypto capabilities part. In December, we are launching the fiat part. Then in the new year, we are going to add the cards and the other features like the compliance API. Then we have the more features like later in the year, we will also have the crypto-backed lending. And throughout the coming years, we're adding step by step more currency, both on the fiat and the crypto side. So we are starting with Bitcoin, Ether, and our cash token. In the future, we'll add all the major currency. Same on the fiat side, starting with pound, euro, USD, and then step by step adding more.
And then
So thank you very much. So what is the process that you are doing eventually in terms of the KYC, in terms of understanding who is behind the scene,
Yes.
what you're doing on that?
So that is done by our partner, which is the EMI. So they are required that they do all themselves. So they will do all the ongoing checking and the onboarding, everything.
And this has been done all over Europe?
It's you can register if you're from all over the world, but some of the features will only be available for the UK or
Non-US
EU.
or China.
Okay. And what is your business model?
So we have the fees that are £1 per transaction. We have also the exchange rate fees, and we have monthly subscription fee, but that depends on the CAS token that you hold. So you need to have the CAS token in your wallet and need to hold that for a certain amount of time, like 6 months or 12 months, to unlock the necessary features. So we have these 5 packages, depending on where you are, what size your business, what are your needs. So for each of the packages, you need to deposit certain amount of CAS token in your account. And depending on which package you choose, you get the features. You get the fees of either £1 or it will be for free. Or you get the higher or the lower exchange rate, etc.
I mean, let me start by saying it's always much more easy to ask the question than to answer them. You're doing an awesome job. It's amazing. Just one question. So, a team of 22. Last time I checked, Level 39 is an incubator. So, how are you funding all of this?
So we have a tech team in Mumbai, so only some are in UK.
Yeah, but how are you funded? What's your
Sorry?
funding?
We have done a token sale, so we had the cash token sale 1 year ago, and that way.
What was the amount?
Yes, so we had accepted around $18 million, and overall raise was larger, but we refunded the part from the unverified KYC. So anyone who was not able to get past was obviously refunded.
And that was, I assume, still not milestone based, right? So just a regular ICO without any milestones.
Sorry?
This was a regular.
DI ICO or a normal ICO?
It was so it's cash token is utility token. We did the token sale from Estonia.
Right on time. Okay. Yeah.
What is your current traction?
Sorry?
What is your current traction?
So we are still yet to launch. So we have 53,000 signups, and we have about 50 companies that are doing ICO or anything else in the space signed up for an account yet. And overall is 53,000
Time's up.
business and individuals.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was the first of 4 of these that we'll do, so you'll get a lot more chance to see really cool companies. With that, we're going to ask you guys to maybe give us a thought before you get off stage about everything you saw, and then we'll ask you to scoot out. Anything that comes to mind after these first few?
Very interesting, the solution. Obviously, there is kind of a variety in the type of technology out there. Some of them relevant even for my own activity. So
Yeah,
very
there it
interesting.
is.
Well, essentially, what makes these type of things really tough to judge is, if you look from this perspective, these companies are in different stages, right? So someone having raised an ICO, 18 million in revenue, and a team of 22 obviously has better equipped questions
Small
for
difference.
the answer. So it's always kind of like a thing where you have to strike, what's the balance in team, resilience, execution power, and then take into account the stage that they're in. But so far, great pitches.
Great. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll have you back here very soon. Thanks a lot.